Welcome to Life Talk. This is a podcast where we discuss issues within the Ethiopian and Eritrean community. Today's conversation is about masculinity and femininity crisis within our community.
What do you think?
I feel like I love how these conversations are about to tie into what I'm going to say, but tapping into why men aren't present, I didn't really finish what I wanted to say, but you guys kind of helped me structure it. But men need to be encouraged. Men need to be encouraged so that they can become men. Men need to be encouraged and given a platform. You know what I mean? Like, they need to be encouraged and given a platform to be men. Yeah. So with that being said, I feel like there's so much expectations, especially in our society, of what success looks like. And it's not what success truly is. You know, like being book smart, that is so good. But you need to be disciplined. And yes, being book smart and, you know, being successful education-wise, that creates a certain type of discipline. But that's just a tip of being like well-rounded, like a well-rounded person. Success doesn't just come from being book smart. Yes, it opens up some doors, but it might not be the doors that, you know, that call for your destiny. You know, everyone has a purpose to pursue. And sometimes I feel like with being book smart and getting that degree, I feel like for some, I'm not going to say all, you know, for most, yes, that is their dream to be a doctor or a lawyer. But for most, that isn't their dream. And they're told, oh, there are other outlets for you. Everything's shut. And for men, you know, for women, it doesn't hit hard for us as it does for men. For men, it hits deep. Because this means to them, they can't have a family. They can't support a family. And they can't, like, you know what I mean? They can't be men. Mm-hmm. It kills their confidence. They can't be leaders. But this is false. This is very false. Men, boys, sons should be encouraged, like Robel said, to pursue everything. Be disciplined in everything that they can put their minds on. And if they fail, be encouraged to keep moving, keep pressing forward. But in our culture, I don't see that. I don't see parents encouraging kids. Like, if you do bad on your grades, that's it, you're done. Like, you know, that's the mentality that we're pushing. And it's very discouraging. I feel like it limits people.
Discussion too, you know, flippant today in why, you know, in our society right now, in the culture, you know, when it comes to women, you know, because this is not only affecting men. Mm-hmm. On the other side, you know, men cannot exist without a woman, and a woman cannot. It's a mission. You know, we need both men and women have to thrive, for both of them to thrive. You can't thrive alone as a man, or you can't thrive as a woman alone. We need one another. That's so important. We complement. Yeah, we're distinct. We're different. We're not the same. That's what is being told to us. You know, we're the same, or uniform. Even, you know, but we're distinct. There's so much distinctiveness that men can give to women and women can give. And where there's something that you find in a man that you don't find in a woman. There's something that you find in women that you may not find in men. So we need one another. You know, we're different in terms of biology, in terms of genetics. You know, right now we're all confused. Who am I, man or woman, boy or girl? There's so much confusion with it too. I don't want to get into that. You know, as this is not really the main issue of our discussion. But, you know, somehow when we see, you know, yes, men needs to be energetic, needs to be aggressive, not in a destructive, in the sense of being destructive, but taking lead, you know, and in so many ways. But also on the other side, you know, there's this culture we need to talk about, you know, the feminine crisis, where women are not taught to be submissive and quiet. And how do you see that? How do you see that too, you know? Because that's also affecting women, you know, because what men needs to be respected, okay, and women needs to be loved, okay, I understand that. But there's a culture. I have heard of a testimony of a woman who did everything, you know, who we go to college, great grades in college. She did everything good, but that was what was she being told, to be competitive with men rather than to be complementing one another.
Yeah.
You know, and then by the age of 40, she said, I've just lived with my pets, with no family, with no relationship, and she said she regret for pursuing that for the sake of being competitive with men, rather than collaborating and complementing one another. So men resigning in culture, boys resigning in culture, might be coming from women became more aggressive and lording over and is that do you see that affecting women? What do you see?
Yes, I feel like it all starts with like women need to heal, really truly. There's a lot of hurt, and I understand like for some it is it's justified, for that hurt. But really like deep down inside, we need to be real with ourselves. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need men. Like, God created man and women on this earth, and we need to, like you said, complement each other. Yes, we can live without men, right? Women can try her. Of course, we have abilities to work and be mothers and do it all. But inside, we're left empty at the end of it, if we're really being true with ourselves. A lot of what society pushes nowadays is we don't need men. We're fine. Like, it's okay. But that's not the truth. We have fathers, we have brothers, and we have sons. And our sons, it's not just about us, really, truly. Our sons need a male figure because they can relate to a male figure. So they need that presence. And as a woman, we want that for our sons too, So that part of that in that area, let's say, we need men, So I feel like women need to heal, and women need to forgive and allow men to be men. Build up men to be men. Build up our sons to be men. And pray, really, truly like pray for men to be their truest selves, to be their fullest selves. That changes the environment. That sets the tone. Then men will want to be home all the time. They'll want to be around you as women, Like, it's just a breath of fresh air for them. But if women are taught in society, which is what society's pushing constantly, oh, he needs to provide. Oh, he needs to have 6 figures. He needs to have this. He needs to provide you with a home. But where in the Bible does it say that the man has to be so stressed out and burdened and pained, that he has to do it all on his own? We have our roles we need to play, and that is to pray over our husbands, to pray over our sons, to pray over our brothers, our fathers, that God gives them wisdom, that God gives them understanding, that God gives them strength, to be men. That's where it starts. So women can take that role. Since I'm a woman, I could speak on it, like I call women, I call women to take care of the men in their lives. It doesn't only need to be your significant other, but your fathers, your sons, your brothers. But if you act like you don't, like wives, right? If you act like you don't need your husband, it looks really, really, really bad for your sons. It's not just between you and your significant other. The exchange, it's all over. It's everywhere. Like, you're hurting your brothers, you're hurting your sons. You're setting the tone differently. You need to set it right. And all we can do as women is really encourage, pray, and hope for. And of course, if that person isn't willing to be a man or to be who God calls him to be, don't have hate in your heart. Don't have anger. Trust in your God, trust in your Lord and Savior. He will provide for you. He will take care of you. But let it not make your view towards women towards men, so toxic, so negative. There are good men.
That's true.
Yeah.
Historically, but sometimes, we need to deal with what happened in the past, when men in culture, in society, presented. That does not mean there were good men who really take care of the women, or we cannot generalize, when we think of when we talk about individuals, persons, but when we think of culture as a collective manifestation of society, there was that tendency in history, and even it could be there now in so many other places right now as we talk, that believes that men are superior, women are inferior, and that institutes sexism, So as a result of that, there's so much violence, domestic violences, so much heart, so much trauma, heart, in abuses that has been done toward these women in history, and we really repent for that. We really, sad for, and it should not happen because they're equal in words, in dignity. Yeah, but with the modern concept of understanding of men and women now shift, there's a shift that is taking place that tries to, rather than resetting this, rather than recalibrating this rather than fixing it, there is an excessive response to, and women tend to be aggressive, competitive. That doesn't solve the problem. It exacerbates the problem. So there's so much brokenness. There's so much, divorce. There's so much social dysfunction that we see right now in our society. Primarily emanates from those broken relationships between men and women. That's at the root of every social ill that we have right now. Every kind of social ill that we experience as a society, we can take it down to that brokenness that we had in with men and women. And in this was postmodern society, being man or a woman, being a boy or a girl is a social construct. It's not real. It's illusion. It's not that we're confused. Right now, we have gone far to a point where we got confused with our own sex. Am I a man or a woman? Am I a girl or a boy? And somehow it's delusional. It's trying to fight with biology. It's trying to fight with men with testosterone, women with our limbic responses, our way of thinking, our psyche, our hormones, our body systems, and psychosocial makeup, and our and spirituality, even in terms of being created male and female and bearers of God's image. We're distinct. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's light, there's darkness, there is day or night, there is everything is binary when you see it in creation, and it's so beautiful because it makes one necessary. You can't live without the other. Yep. That makes you complementing. Right. If I replace you, then no need for you. Or if Rob is gonna replace me, or is gonna replace you, there is no need for one another. Why we need one another? Because that's how God designs. That's how creation. It's real. We see it in everything. In we're going there. And maybe this might not be an issue right now. Of course, it's growing. We can hear. I'm hearing a lot about Ethiopian Eritrean community, boys and girls, men and women, thinking in a postmodern way, where they're getting, doubting their own identity, whether I'm a man or a woman, boy or girl, and asking that. But it's growing. It may not be there in full-fledged, as we see it here in the U.S., but kids growing here are right now experiencing that too in high schools, getting confused with, rather than, getting back to who we are and see reality as it is, accepting that, embracing it, and complementing. So definitely this is hurting women, this is hurting men. As we discussed, women are, because of that, trying to be aggressive, trying to be competitive, and they're left with, as you said, emptiness, hopelessness, despair, anger, frustration, bitterness, not loved, not cared, and yeah. Do you see
and
that?
Also,
Okay, go ahead.
I do, and also I feel like there's such a I feel like the confusion in the world right now, the lack of men.
How is
being
women
men.
experiencing that? What are some of the deep emotional, social experiences of women in being, became aggressive, competitive, trying to take the role of men?
And it's like when life, they do take the role of men, we get more angry. We feel more hurt, but we're only hurting ourselves. It's bigger than just us. That's what I always preach to my parents. It's always bigger than just them. They have kids. they have nieces and nephews. There's a whole community behind them. How you interact with like a male, how a woman interacts with a man is so important. It is so important how the dynamic flows, because there's so much attached to it. You have your kids. It doesn't hurt anyone but you and your family. You know what I mean? Like, no one can be successful.
Right.
So I think that's what submissiveness means. It doesn't just mean saying yes to everything, but I really do feel like there's strength in submissiveness, you know? For me, I identify submissiveness as understanding, compassion, forgiveness, being very forgiving, having a voice. If you disagree with them, converse with that with your husband, with the man, you know? Let them know what you expect. That's what God put us on this earth for. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like women, we are more calculated than men. A lot of our ways, we're more, you know, and I feel like there's a reason we made us that way. Because a man will have strength, right? Leadership and all these things. But sometimes they need the connection. Like, they need someone to connect it for them, to tell them, hey, I feel like this is what you need to do, and this is what do you think? You know, it's never, women don't really say that in our society. Right. They're like, this is what you need to do, and that's it. It's never like, oh, I feel like this would benefit our family, would benefit you. What do you think?